Wow, so Donald Trump is even dumber than we previously thought, and the evidence has been right in front of our eyes this entire time. There is one specific thing that he's been saying every time he gives a rally and every time he holds a speech that only reinforces the idea that he doesn't understand the simplest of concepts. I mean, the most basic concepts fly over this dude's head, and people that worked around him have said as much. And I can't tell if I'm late to catching on to this specific thing that he's been saying, but I really wanted to highlight it because I've been talking a lot lately about how Donald Trump doesn't understand the world around him and he doesn't understand simple concepts. I mean, this dude admitted that he didn't know what NATO was until he was the president, and he was like 70 years old. How is that even possible? He also thinks F-35 fighter jets are actually invisible. There's a clip of him and Laura Ingraham from last week where he says he doesn't have pronouns. Take a look.
Kamala Harris in her Twitter bio, which I never noticed until this morning, states her pronouns as she/her. What are your pronouns?
I don't want pronouns. I don't want pronouns.
These are grown adults and they don't understand the English language. Keep in mind, Laura Ingraham said the words her multiple times during that clip, but they just don't catch on because they are dumb. Now, before I break down this new clip, this new development, I want to point out that people that have worked around Donald Trump, even James Mattis said Donald Trump has the understanding of a, quote, 5th or 6th grader. President Donald Trump was described as having the intellect of a 5th or 6th grader by Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis following a meeting about North Korea and the U.S.'s involvement in the region. People have said he has the understanding of foreign policy of a kindergartner. He has a child's understanding of politics, and honestly, I can see all of that. So, this brings me to this new development. Yesterday, Donald Trump went on a live stream with this young dude named Aiden Ross. He's 23 years old, a little bit older than me. He's worth like $100 million, and he's as dumb as a rock, but they began talking about immigration, and Donald Trump said something that he said a million times over, but in a slightly different way, and a lot of people on Twitter and in the media had a collective aha moment. They all realized that Donald Trump is dumber than we thought. So, asked in the live stream interview yesterday, about the causes of the recent big declines in the global stock markets, Trump appeared to blame immigrants, saying, quote, they're coming out of mental institutions and they're pouring into the United States and they're hurting and damaging our country. But, this article points out, many economists point to data that shows slowing growth in the American economy as the reason for the market downturn, just overall slowing growth. But did you catch it? Did you catch what Donald Trump said? He said, quote, they're coming out of mental institutions and they're pouring into the United States. Now, he has said this 100 times over, but the way he said it yesterday made everybody realize that Donald Trump doesn't understand what the word asylum means. He genuinely doesn't get that there are two meanings to the word asylum. There is asylum as in a mental asylum, a place where you keep people who need mental help, and then there are people that are seeking asylum. There are asylum judges when it comes to immigration, but Donald Trump only thinks there is one meaning. So in this clip, Donald Trump says, they think I'm suffering from cognitive decline because I talk about Hannibal Lecter. Yes, that actually reinforces our point. You're talking about Hannibal Lecter because you don't know that asylum has two meanings. Either you're dumb or you're declining, or both, and I can't tell what's worse. Take a look at this clip.
Prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. You know, they go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Okay, they say, why would he mention Hannibal Lecter? He must be cognitively in trouble. No, these are real stories. Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lamb. He's a lovely man. He wants to have you for dinner. He'd like to have you for dinner.
Great joke. It gets even better after hearing it 100 times, Donald Trump. But again, he doesn't know what the word asylum means, and that means he is genuinely dumb. He doesn't understand the immigration process that he's been railing against for so long. He completely tanked a border bill, not because he understands that the bill is bad or because he had some intuition, because he wants to help himself politically. And again, he has been saying this for so long, this Hannibal Lecter thing. Nobody corrects him. His crowd absolutely eats him up. I honestly don't even think they understand why he brings up Hannibal Lecter in the first place. I don't even know if Donald Trump fully understands it. He's sort of just playing a game of word association during these rallies. But this all comes at a time when Kamala Harris now leads in all major polling averages. And this article is insane, especially on the day that VP Harris chose Tim Walz as her VP. So a great pick as she's leading in the polls, as Donald Trump is melting down and losing his mind. Vice President Kamala Harris now leads Donald Trump across all national polling aggregators. Since launching her campaign Ukraine in recent weeks, Harris has seen largely positive poll results. Overall, the polls indicate that she has closed the gap on Trump compared to when President Joe Biden was on the ticket. According to Real Clear Politics, Harris is leading her Republican opponent by a marginal 0.2 points, 47% to his 46.8%. It is the first time a Democrat has led in the race, according to the aggregator, and the momentum is just now shifting. I mean, VP Harris became the candidate, 3 weeks ago, and since then she has stayed in the media, and today they perfectly came out with the VP pick to stay in the media, to keep that momentum going, to prolong the coverage that they get. It's called earned media, and Donald Trump is a really, really good at earning that media. But overall, this man's policy prescription should not be taken seriously. They should not be held at the same level as President Biden's or any other politician's policy prescriptions, because he doesn't understand what he's talking about from a fundamental level. For example, in this clip, he is talking about Russian aggression towards Ukraine and blaming the Russian invasion of Ukraine on Ukraine and the West. But why would we trust him to know what he's talking about when he admitted he didn't even know what NATO was a few years before this?
So for 20 years, I heard that NATO, if Ukraine goes into NATO, it's a real problem for Russia. I've heard that for a long time. And I think that's really why this war started. I'm not sure that this war would have started.
This man is actually just repeating Russian propaganda that he saw on Truth Social or Fox News or OAN or whatever he watches, but it is absolutely insane to me that people hold this man's policies up on a pedestal when he has no clue what he's talking about. And what does it tell you when so many people around him have called him an idiot or have turned their backs on him and said he is unfit for the presidency, even his vice president? A good gotcha question for Republicans in your life is, why did Donald Trump need a new VP? And when they don't know or they can't say the real truth, point out January 6th and hang Mike Pence. But this reads, former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson have reportedly made similar statements following a meeting at the Pentagon a year ago. He called the president a moron after military officials had explained how the U.S. and NATO had built up its military apparatus following World War II. Tillerson then left his post. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly is quoted as saying Trump is a, quote, idiot, and that his current post is the worst job I ever had. Earlier this year, Trump was subject to damning accusations in author Michael Wolff's book, Fire and Fury. This is a few years ago. Wolff claimed Trump thought he would lose the 2016 election. Trump scoffed at learning more about the U.S. Constitution, and that many of the president's aides and allies were shocked to learn of how little he knows about policies. And is that even surprising at all? I mean, before Donald Trump entered into office, he said that anybody who burns the American flag should lose their citizenship, which, yeah, it's a cringe thing to do, to burn the American flag. I wouldn't personally do it, but it falls under our First Amendment right. It is a fundamental right for American citizens. Donald Trump doesn't care, and the worst part is he hasn't even learned over the past 4 or 5 or 6 years. He has only doubled down on stripping people's citizenship away. But either way, if you enjoyed this video, all you have to do is leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, have a great day. I love that you guys are part of this community we're building, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.